Now, across the world, continents over, countries, whether it be in Africa or in the United Kingdom, Europe, Asia, or Sub-Saharan Africa, the conversation on disability, special needs has continued to reverberate and create a lot of conversation. Now, what is the attention of governments involved who are looking at the social welfare of these people and who are also considering involvement integral to the lives of these people? In Nigeria today, 45% of youths across the board would arguably say that there is no infrastructural benefits for these sorts of persons. Disabled people still every day ask for their lives to be considered, be it in schools or in the workforce. And then you talk about special needs. What is really special needs? Well, according to the Wikipedia, it tells you that special needs incorporates all kinds of cognitive, physical disorders, be it cerebral palsy, autism, or dyslexia. Today we're going to be having conversations around that order. Last week we talked about a veritable tool platform for albinos who were trying to make a change to discuss issues concerning albinism and taking their plight out of the hands of cannibals. I will be speaking to a woman who is the voice and who is also bringing visibility and celebrating the lives of these people. Join me as I come on board this afternoon to talk to you about visibility for special needs persons, the disabled, and going beyond the conversation. This is Gender Agenda. I am Adora Onyechere. Somewhere on the street, I will be going to have this conversation with a woman, one wonder, who has continued to live the life and journey the tale of these two worlds. Stay with me. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us, and as usual, welcome to Gender Agenda. Today's show is remarkable. It goes beyond the storylines, and it's intriguing because, like I said earlier, it will journey the life of one amiable woman who held us spellbound in her journey, telling us, detailing step by step, how she overcame and how she's seeking closure in finding resolutions. Now, the issue of special needs abounds, and when you talk about special needs, you cannot also leave out the disabled person, which is the world of the disability. Now, today's show, I will be speaking to a woman who is captivating, who is an advocate of all voices included, who is spellbounding, who is remarkable, and an intriguing force to be accompanied by all the works that she has done, especially in the areas of special needs. And I'm talking about no other person than Her Excellency, and forgive me to say, in her privileged entourage. And she's seated here with me today, Barr.Mrs. Amina, of course, Oyiza Bello, wife of the executive governor of one of the most resourceful states in Nigeria. Yes, Kogi State. Well, eat your hats out. Well, you have to contest that. Well, thank you, madam, for joining us. And you look resplendent. Let's take a detour from the conversation. What fabric is this?
Thanks for having me, by the way.
You're welcome.
This is actually our Ibera fabric. It's made by Ibera women. And I just actually incorporated it into our day-to-day wear, making it wearable and formful, if you ask me.
It's intriguing to find that you have been through so much, yet you were so formidable. Your voice resonates. You were standing strong. You celebrate life every minute. Yet you are one example that a lot of people would love to hear more about. And I'm talking about your journey with special needs and you as an advocate for special need persons. Tell us a bit about your journey.
Okay, I think it all started sometime in 2007 when I had my son, Hayat Bello. And of course, like every other parent, we were expecting him to sit a certain age, walk certain age and all that. But it wasn't forthcoming, and hence the search, for closure. And that basically took us around the world trying to find closure while he's not working. Visited various hospitals from one country to the other. And in the course of going through that journey, I was able to discover me, my purpose here on earth, and the reason why my son is here on earth in the first place, actually. And in the end, I would say it made me a better person, a stronger person, a more spiritual person, and I must say that I couldn't have done all that without the support of my husband, who has been my rock, By the way, he's been so supportive. He's been a father, a friend, a soulmate, and that in itself kind of gave me that strength, because he will tell anybody that cares to listen, that Hayat is my first son. He takes the lead, others follows. And whenever the need arises for us to, be it to travel to hospitals or in our quest to get a school, for him, he is that man that will babysit for me with my other children. And when we have reasons to travel together, we still travel as a family, and he's always been there. I think that really helped me through a great deal.
I hear you loud and clear, but then it's not so for other women.
Exactly.
I mean, you are just one Trojan soldier amongst many fallen soldiers of this same plight. How has it been easy? Because when you talk about familiar environment and the assistance of your husband, and God bless him. I mean, people would say we wish many fathers were like him, but not so many fathers are like him, unfortunately. You've seen women who have left their homes, who have been excommunicated in their villages, accused of voodoo, and using their children for some sort of ritualistic endeavor. How has culture and religion also caused the ambiguity in understanding the issues of specialists? How was it with you?
I think I will be lying if I say I did not experience it. It was really quite challenging, at first. But in fairness to those we had around us, be it religious leaders or traditional leaders, I would say that they didn't know any better. When you're ignorant of something, it can kind of affect your perception and your level of acceptability, of that situation. So to that extent, we're being stigmatized. I actually consider myself very lucky, to have the kind of husband I have. And then my children, and indeed the entire family, became like a huge rock and a support system for me. And I think that kind of helped me through. And while going through this phase, I gradually, for those that were stigmatizing us, it became a norm for them to just learn to accept us.
And love.
Exactly, the way we were. But getting there wasn't so easy. Like personally for us, we kind of find closure when we traveled to America. John Hopkins and Kennedy Krieger, to be precise. And while we were there, we discovered that there was nothing wrong with our son. There was nothing wrong with us, with the way Amina, we loved him regardless. We discovered that it was actually the society we found ourselves, that has not come to terms with the reality that special children and indeed special people do exist. Like in America, for instance, there are car parks for special people. In the train, there are special places for you to put your wheelchair. When it comes to going into the elevator, people would naturally give you, priority for you to step in first or to come out first. And when you go to public places, they're all wheelchair accessible. And when we had to take Hayat to school for registration, with our other children, naturally you see school owners, talking about Hayat first, trying to convince us that they have equipment to cater for him. Basically, they want to kind of make a name for themselves, like the institution, for instance, now, to say that they actually catered for this boy and, helping him through life's journey to get to where God has destined him to be and all that. But the reverse happens to be the case in Nigeria. At first, to even get a wheelchair for children didn't come easily. We had to get that abroad. Getting standing aids and so many things. When I wanted to get him a wheelchair, I was surprised when I got there, all the wheelchairs they had were for adults, Then, of course, even using the wheelchair was a huge challenge because most places in Nigeria, they are not wheelchair accessible. And that made it a whole lot even more challenging and more difficult to find closure. Then also, I discovered that whenever we want to, we change schools severally because of Hayat. And whenever we go to this school, because as a mom, I wanted all my kids to be in the same school, both face the same challenges over and over again. You know, some are polite enough to say, oh, sorry, we don't have facilities for him. Others would just tell me straight to my face, oh, I'm sorry, I have to take him elsewhere, maybe to an institute or something. You know, in as much as I agree that severe cases should be taken to an institute, but mild cases like the case of Hayat and every other children, you know, should be in our mainstream schools, because if children are truly the leaders of tomorrow, there's a need for them to be in the same environment with special children like themselves. This will help them to, in future, when they get into position of authority, to come up with laws that will make life easier. But when you live, if you allow special children to live in isolation, and other kids grow up in this mirage called perfection, you know, when they see people like Hayat, they get scared, you know, and it shouldn't be, you know. So as a mom, you're constantly wondering, where did we go wrong? What have we done to deserve this? And it shouldn't be, you know. And I also feel that largely parents that have healthy children should appreciate our Creator by being a shoulder to lean on for parents that are not so fortunate.
What you say is easier said than done. We live in a very cultural society, highly judgmental and opinionated. Everybody knows what to do for you, rather than you knowing what to do, what's best for you. I mean, that's how the society works. And it's really sad because there is no chance for benefits of that. And so before you actually find succor, you are already out of a marriage or out of a home. I bring this because I'm thinking, how do you look at reaching out to other parents, especially women who are not so fortunate like you, creating hubs and groups for women? Because I understand that there is also your project that is close to your heart, Hayat Foundation. Is this one of the objectives that you're looking at using that institution to create a platform for similarities for parents like this to come together?
Of course, having support system is very key, because it's because of the fact that as a society we've lived in denial for too long. There are no case study or visible case study that you can learn on. So for somebody like me, it's an everyday learning experience, you know. But when we have this kind of support system, you'll be able to draw strength from other parents. You'll be able to tap into the experiences of other parents, you know. So that would generally create healing in itself, because a parent will now know generally that they are not in it alone, that you are not alone. Other things that we intend to do in Hayat Foundation is to have an institute for severe cases. This institute is going to have boarding facilities so that parents can bring their warden. It's going to have a research facility also that will continue to research, you know, for reasons for cerebral palsy and other related neurological disorders, and of course prevention, how to prevent it from happening. And also it will also have a training institute also. The training institute will be grooming special teachers, and our target basically is to have graduates that can come into mainstream schools, so that every single school owner, say from early years up until university level, there are special teachers in each and every class, so that parents do not have to go through what I went through. For instance, if I have, say for instance, 5 kids and I bring them to your school, I should be able to have all of them in the same environment. Sure. Because my other kids, like Hayat's siblings, will be asking me, Mommy, why is Hayat not in our school? You know, and most times when I go to drop them off in school, Hayat normally cries. At a point, I had to stop taking them to school together, because whenever I do, he's constantly crying, and I could see it, I could perceive it as a mom, that he's asking, why does he have to go elsewhere? You know, and it shouldn't be.
Now, my heart breaks when I hear stories of children locked behind closed doors.
So, sorry, I didn't even add. I also want to encourage sensitization, particularly with our targets are religious leaders as well as traditional leaders. For religious leaders, we want to separate the myth of the need for exorcism from reality, so that with time, religious institution, for instance, should have special children in their congregation. They should have special people in their congregation. They shouldn't be subjected to begging in front of, religious homes. They shouldn't be, because in the sight of God, we are all equal after all.
Sure.
And God has created us in His own image, and He knows why He created certain child different from another. Just the way we have different colors. We have Caucasian, blacks, white, and God could have created us, all similar. But He chose in His own infinite wisdom to make us different.
Yes.
So I feel the same thing with special people, because God has the power to create everybody perfectly. But it's just God showing His uniqueness and also giving us more reasons to even worship Him more, to be more grateful, for little things, because having Hayat as a person has helped me in life, like I said earlier, become a better person. I'm grateful over little things, When I had my daughter, her ability to sit when she should sit, I was so grateful. Her ability to crawl when she should, I was grateful. When she should walk and all those various developmental stages.
Right.
I discovered I'm more grateful now because God allowed me to see the other side of life. You understand? And I was saying in the end, they all made me a better person.
My heart breaks when I hear stories of children that are locked behind closed doors. Children who are either sold, children whose memories are just a distance away because nobody knows what has happened to them. I happen to have encountered several homes in the FCT here where such children were dumped at the doors of citizens just because they're special needs children. I do not see the effort of leadership in Nigeria trying to go beyond the narrative. As a foundation, looking at the other angle that you are also a legal practitioner, you are a barrister. How be it so, are we also going to see a push, advocacy on the side of leadership to perhaps sign the disability bill? I mean, it's past third reading. The president is still waiting on our assent. One voice is just one. How are you going to help in make this a reality?
Well, as a foundation, we're doing everything within our powers to ensure that Mr. President, of course, give the final assent so that it becomes law. But as you know, Mr. President is very passionate about special children. I mean, there have been several clips of that. And the disabled community came out en masse to vote for him. So I'm so positive that within the nearest future, his assent will be given and it will be passed into law. At the moment, I've been working hand in hand with the wife of the president, Yahaya Buhari. And I'm believing God that with time, she's been helping in that regard as well to push, for her husband to give that signature that we've been waiting for. And I can assure you that within the shortest possible time, it will be done. On the other hand, as a legal practitioner, we also intend to work with FIDA and, of course, MBA as a body as well, to kind of give priority to special people when it comes to pro bono cases. Because as you know, parents with special children, most of them are not so buoyant financially. So that even when their rights are being infringed upon, they can barely eat. So the least they could do is just to keep hoping on God, and hopefully it will stop. So we intend to also use this platform, to appeal to MBA, FIDA, and other related agencies to prioritize their pro bono cases and giving priority to special people and the disabled community at large.
And at the state level?
Of course, the same thing at the state level. As you know, this is so dear to my heart.
Yes.
I actually I'm working towards pushing for a day that will be celebrated across the whole local government as for special children. and I'm also working around the clock on I'm pushing for a bill in that regard, so that the narrative at the traditional level, at the rural level, will change, and with this I also intend to work with religious leaders as well as traditional leaders, to let them know the difference, that there are cases like this that happens medically, and the parents in question, particularly the woman, has not done anything wrong, and for such traditional institution to be that voice for the woman that is sent out of her matrimonial home, for instance, or for the child that is abandoned. I wasn't surprised when you said earlier that parents lock these kids behind closed doors. But unfortunately, it has to do with the society we find ourselves, and everyone is not similar. Like I said earlier, I derived my strength from the backing I got from my husband. His ability to be that rock for me kind of gave me this voice and the determination to move forward and to keep looking for solution. But most women are not so lucky, and I think that kind of made a lot of difference. So basically, we're working tirelessly to make sure that we get the voices of the voiceless out, and hopefully with time the society will begin to have a different perception, exactly,
Yes,
about special
you
people
will not be
and the
tired.
disabled community in general.
You will not be tired, not at
Thank
all.
you.
I think your
Thank
flight
you.
just started. Don't go anywhere. Shortly, we will be taking just a little tour into her Excellency's home to see, she wants to show us beautiful nature's gift of Hayat, and also see how the family has also been able to hold it together. Like I always say, I think sister for a sister. But first of all, let the voice, the journey begin. And she has started the work. We love more women to be out there proudly celebrating special needs children. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
But the society makes you to shut your doors, and you go through this pain within you.
Alright, and I see that one.
Yeah, it's always smiley. People call it smiley one. Okay,
these are your sisters?
Yeah.
Okay. Love is such a big word. Love, they say, is the greatest thing. It can heal any kind of sickness, make the blind see, make the lame walk. Do you think that love is a big factor in this case, in this regard, for other people to emulate? As you look at other families, that there's lack of, there's lack of acceptance, there's lack of support, emotionally, more to say, than physically. What is the role of love in all of this?
I think love is one word that is used loosely. When it comes to really practicing it, most people find it difficult too. And I think for me, I always say to parents that have healthy kids that they should show empathy and reciprocate God's gesture. There's nothing more important than this, and it just makes life easier. And for me, loving, unknown to me growing up, I've always developed empathy for special people. And when I remember in law school days, if I see
he's also a lawyer.
when I see a disabled person, I'm that student that is quick to assist, that person to the lecture hall.
If you were given a chance all over again in creation, and God said to you, Amina, I'm breathing to you right now. I give you back your life, and I give you Hayat once again all over. Will you relive this experience?
1,010%. Like I said, having Hayat has been such a huge blessing to me and my husband, and indeed my entire family. Like I said, Hayat made me discover my purpose here on earth. And I couldn't have had it any other way, because there's no way I'll be telling you what I'm telling you now if I have not lived it. A few days ago I had people from the disabled community, they paid me a courtesy visit, And they said everything I had in mind, and I just said to them, you don't need to stress your point because I feel you,
Yes.
I see you, I hear you. And the reason why I can say this is that I live your life every day. Hayat Foundation is larger than perhaps maybe the way I've expressed it to you. For me, what we intend to do, of course, as a co-founder at Hayat Foundation, is to go global.
When you think of yourself, when you look at life, what and who inspires you?
I think number one on that list is Oprah Winfrey. I've had to follow her story. I love the way she brings smiles to people, the way she surprises people, her humility, her ability to constantly want to give back, to the society, and the way and manner she goes about it, like a surprise package when you least expect. Somebody knocks on your door, and lo and behold, it's Oprah. And she has really inspired me greatly. And she has also used her platform to raise a lot of role models. And another person for me is Nelson Mandela. And of course, finally, my husband. He's a strong, resilient person. He constantly makes me feel that there's no dream that is too much for you to achieve. Just think about it, work towards it. And it's achievable. But if we come together as a society, we'll derive strength from each other. We'll be that change that we want to see. Because by the time you're able to express your pain, your experience, you will see somebody else within that group that will be that shoulder for you to lean.
And you
And
guys
of course, there'll be solution
together.
because by airing your pain, you discover healing even the moment you begin to talk about it. But if the society makes you to shut your doors and you go through this pain within you, then in the end, what I was saying,
True, well said.
but some will say to you, oh, why not just inject them, let them go, so that you can live on? I mean, how would
You want to take a life.
Exactly.
Thank you. And that's a wrap for us today on Gender Agenda. Like I always say, women arise. We need more women like this in the society. Let's put our hands and our hearts together. See you again next week. I am yours truly, Dora. Goodbye for now.